Hello and welcome to Motherwell 1 Celtic 2 match reaction from the Celtic Way. I'm Aidan Macdonald, and shortly I will be joined by Ryan McGinlay, who was at Fir Park today. He'll be joining us from his car in the car park to sort of go through what was a dramatic afternoon for Celtic and Lanarkshire. Obviously, it was a tight game in the first half. Good save from Scott Bain, who was then called into action again in the early stages of the second 45 minutes. Substitute Lewis Palmer thought his first goal for Celtic had then handed the visitors all 3 points before obviously Blair Spittle scored, and I believe it was the 96th minute with a sort of neat finish, just getting in front of the Celtic defence. But then, of course, it wasn't over as Matt O'Reilly scored. I think what Brendan Rodgers described in his post-match as a Tom Roderick-esque finish right at the end to give Celtic all the 3 points, and obviously, for now anyway, extend a lead at the top of the Scottish Premiership. Get your comments in, guys. It'd also be great to hear from you for this game. That was a massive victory, obviously, for Celtic. The performance at times, I think, was maybe a wee bit lacking, but overall, they got the job done and they kept going right to the very end. The manager and his post-match presser, that I'm sure Ryan and I will come on to discuss, was very complimentary to the team. They enjoyed their fight, their desire, and it was a phenomenal result in the end. And it does feel like, even though it's very early in the season, results like that can be season defining. I think you go back to, Ange's first season, Liel Abada's late goal against Dundee United, other games, under Neil Lennon, Edouard scoring late against Hearts, sort of results victories right at the end, I should say, like that are always pretty sweet, and they allow you to sort of gives you that faith really going forward for the rest of the season that even if games are tight, Celtic have got the chance of getting a late goal. So we've got some comments coming in here just while we're waiting on Ryan. Sean says, "Hail, hail, troops." Sean, thanks for joining us. Paul saying the same. Hi, Paul. Good to have you. Other comments. Mark McQueen saying, "Palmer worth the hype." Yeah, I was pretty impressed with Palmer when he came on, even outside of his goal. I thought it was a pretty good finish from the forward. He maybe get a wee bit of luck. It might have looked like a cross. I'm sure he'll never admit that was the case. But he was putting in a couple of dangerous balls before that, and he obviously it was a dangerous cross, regardless if it did end up in the back of the net. So yeah, I was impressed with him. I thought he had some good touches. Maybe he's going to be a sort of impact player rather than somebody that's going to start regularly. I'm sure that'll be something that we'll come on to discuss with Ryan when he gets in the stream. Conan says Hatate was very wasteful with his passing, but a good one. Yeah, maybe I know some of Hatate's passing was a wee bit off. I actually thought overall he was quite good today. I know he got a sore kick in the face, I think it was at the start of the game. Thought overall he was pretty good. Added a lot to it. Hazel Finn says, "Great game, best I've seen for ages." Credit to the team, at least credit to Motherwell, sorry. At least they tried to play a good game. Yeah, Motherwell competed well for good chunks of that game. They very much were not sitting back and trying to play defensive football. They were playing right up against Celtic at times, and there was a few opportunities. If it wasn't for Scott Bain, another player I'm sure Ryan and I will come on to discuss, it could have been a very different game because he made a couple of very good stops. It was pretty kind of unusual sort of predicament for Celtic. Usually when you're playing maybe a team like Motherwell, they're a bit more defensive, but obviously they've had a good start to the season, and Stuart Kettlewell was keen to continue that. And yeah, on another day they could have got a point, and some would have maybe argued that would have been a fair result. So yeah, it was a good performance, I would say, from Motherwell. They competed well, and it made for sort of a more end-to-end game than you would usually expect. We've got Munster coming in saying the most beautiful team in Europe, Celtic. Lewis Grant says Hatate gets kneed in the head and we go down to 10 men. It should have been a red. I was a bit surprised that there maybe wasn't more focus on that with the Hatate incident. Obviously, VAR would look at it as they look at every single decision, but that seemed to be one that was not given for whatever reason. Sorry, a red card was not given there. I don't know if they maybe thought it was more accidental rather than dangerous play, but he did make contact. Obviously, with his, I think it was just the bridge of his nose ended up. We seen there was a cut because he was getting treatment for it. Kono comes in again and says Scales was solid. Yes, Scales was a really good game. It seems to be every single match he's putting in a positive performance now. William Scales, what a difference he's made since he came into the team. Obviously, at the time, there was I think at that moment, understandable concern about him becoming a sort of regular during Carter Vickers' time out, but he's equipped himself really well, and he's now probably, at least until all the defenders come back, one of the first names in the team sheet. Martin doesn't seem quite happy with Hatate. I thought Hatate actually played quite well. I know some of his passing did go a wee bit awry, but I think that is maybe going to happen at times when he's trying to sort of break the lines with those forward motions. It'll be interesting to see what Ryan thinks or his perspective on Hatate, given that he was actually at the game. Ryan and I provided a match analysis from the fixture. We sort of broke down what we thought was good, what we thought was kind of wanting. It's fair to say with the last sort of 10-15 minutes that we had to change it a couple of times, but no, it was good. It was a good performance overall. I thought from Celtic, even at times it maybe was a bit wanting. I thought they showed sort of good desire to get the job done. Stuart Carr, good 3 away points. Moving on to Wednesday, still think our team playing to the death. We don't stop. Yep, I know that was obviously Andrew's line last season, but yeah, the team did never stop. Absolutely. Hazel Finn, think it will take Hatate time to get back up to his best. Yeah, I mean, I guess he'll still come back from an injury as well, but I thought overall he did okay today. Michael Duffin saying 3 points, job done. Yep, I would agree with that, as I believe Ryan is just about to join us. Ryan, can you hear us, mate? How are you?
Certainly can hear us, yeah. I was just getting, I get roosted out of the press bit. But yeah, I'm back in my car, here to talk about a good Celtic win. You know, I know you've been holding the fort for a good 7 minutes now. I really do appreciate that, doing the show on your lonesome while I was getting back to the car. But yeah, 3 points, a massive 3 points, even more so with results beginning to transpire elsewhere as well. So not going to tempt fate too much, but it's looking like a very, very good day for Celtic in every sort of way. You know, character building, not the best performance, turgid. Turgid is definitely one word that you could use. We've used that a couple of times this season, particularly against a low block. But at the end of the day, they got the job done. 3 points back down the road. You know, it's the league table is making for pretty good reading at the moment, you could say.
Absolutely, yeah. For now, anyway, it seems to be a good afternoon for Celtic, or it's a good afternoon regardless, but it could be an even better afternoon potentially if results elsewhere stay the same. But obviously, Ryan, you were at the match, which is why you're in your car right now. It was an interesting afternoon, I think, to say the least. I guess generally, if we maybe just go through the points we were making in our instant analysis, the first one that I did was talking about Scott Bain, who I thought had a pretty good game overall. But what were your sort of perceptions of Bain? Do you think he played well? Do you think has he got an opportunity to challenge for the first team goalkeeping spot now?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to find a good way of positioning this camera the right way. That seems to be fine. Yeah, I thought Scott Bain had a really good, assured performance. He could do nothing with the goal, Blair Spittle's goal in the 95th minute, 95th, 96th minute, depending on what way you look at it. But yeah, I thought 2 really good saves. There was one in the first half and then one in the second half, I believe. But he came up trumps in a day that, you know, not many chances came his way to deal with in terms of shooting, but all the ones that he could deal with, he did. So it was another really good day at the office for Scott Bain. He can be really, really pleased with the way that he performed on the day, because his contribution certainly helped Celtic, first of all, take the lead, and then, you know, keep themselves in the game and score that one. And I know he could do nothing with the Blair Spittle goal. I'm not putting any blame on him whatsoever. It was a really well taken finish by quite a good footballer, I think, by Motherwell standards, and Blair Spittle. He always seems to come up trumps in some of these games. So, yeah, I don't think he could have done much for that effort, but he kept us in the game at nothing each. Kept it nothing each, allowed for the 1-0, and then Celtic went on and won 2-1. So yeah, a pretty good day at the office for him. But yeah, I'd be going over old ground, but he did well, considering he was a sub goalkeeper and he was kind of coming in off the cold.
Yeah, I thought he acquitted himself very well overall, to be honest. I thought his distribution was quite good. I know there was also the Motherwell goal that it was a clear offside. Maybe could make an argument there was a foul on Bain. Some might say he's got to be a bit stronger in there. I know there's the whole overprotection thing that the goalkeepers can receive, which is probably a separate discussion, maybe one you would have went into more detail if that goal had been given. But I thought outside of that, he was pretty good, and those two saves, particularly with how the game went, proved to be absolutely vital, didn't they? That one in the first half was excellent. The one in the second half as well was a pretty good save, and given how dramatic the game ended, I think Scott Bain was more deserving of praise for today, Ryan. That's got to be said. But in terms of the other points, obviously you were I've already been discussing before you came on as Liam Scales, but he's been getting a lot of sort of love in the live chat here, and he was phenomenal again today, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think I'm going to start putting him in my predicted lineups from now on, because every time I seem to be dropping him, he puts in another incredible performance. I thought he was, if you take away the goal scorers, Matt O'Reilly probably will get man of the match, because he got the winner, the all-important winner, got the contract as well, so he's feeling good about himself. Liam Scales is probably Celtic's best player on the pitch. Not the first time this season we've said that, but Liam Scales has been, this opportunity for Liam Scales would have been sort of, he wouldn't have thought this was coming.
Realised I was muted there. Sorry about that. Yeah, he definitely wouldn't have thought that opportunity was coming. Oh, we seem to be back, Ryan.
Yeah, I don't know if it's down to the day. I've got full 5G bars here, but it might be just due to the rain that's on just now. I'm doing this from my phone, obviously. But where was I when I was talking about Scales? Yeah, I'm not going to take him out of my predicted lineups from now on. He's been absolutely incredible since coming into the team. It's been an injury crisis at centre back, but they only conceded one goal today. I think that's the first goal that they've conceded. That. No, in fact, that was when Nat Phillips was on the pitch. Do you know, thinking back to this game and talking about this game, it feels as if there's two very different games that happened today. There was that game that was up until about the 88th minute when Luis Palma scored. Before then, it was a bit of a turgid affair. And then that last 10 minutes, which went from 88 minutes to like 8 minutes added on time, was a completely different game altogether. What was quite a calm game, Celtic were dominant with the ball, turned into a frantic game, and it would have been a great watch for the neutrals. It was a shame that game wasn't on the telly, because it would have been a great advert for Scottish football that last 5-6 minutes, especially with Spittle scoring the equaliser and then Matt O'Reilly 90 seconds later going up and scoring the all-decisive winner. It would have been a great advert for Scottish football. It's a shame it wasn't on the TV, but the people that paid for the pay-per-view would have got their money's worth for sure.
Yeah, it was. I thought it ended up being quite an entertaining game in the end, but I suppose you could say I'm biased given how it ended up. Well, not I would have said the same if it was sort of 1-1 or 0-0. I don't know. But yeah, moving on to the other points we touched on, I'd said the midfield was quite dominant. I thought Cal McGregor had maybe an understated, but a pretty good game. Back to that sort of consistency, maybe that goes unnoticed that we've seen throughout the 2 seasons under Ange Postecoglou. Matt O'Reilly, of course, was phenomenal, getting the winning goal, but just his all-round general play was great off the back of him, obviously getting that new deal earlier today. And the other player who there was a wee bit of discussion about in the chat before you came on, Ryan, was Rio Hatate. Now, I'd kind of praised him in my analysis. I thought he did quite well. Rio Hatate, I thought he performed quite well, but there seemed to be a wee bit of debate in the chat. Some people saying his passing was a wee bit slacking. It was at times, I'm not going to deny that, but what was your kind of overall thoughts on his performance?
On Rio Hatate's performance in particular? Yeah, understated, I would probably say. I don't think that his rhythm of the game would have been helped by the fact that he was on the ground for about 4 or 5 minutes getting treatment. There's that picture that's going about of him with basically 2 holes in his face because of the what was it, a kick he got to the face, I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
From where I was situated, I thought he'd broken his nose because he hadn't moved in about 3-4 minutes. I was worried that might be the case for Hatate. The curse of the contract continues, whereas a Celtic player gets a contract and all of a sudden they get crocked, or they get injured rather. Thankfully that isn't the case. He continued to soldier on throughout the game. I think that's just what you're going to get with Hatate, to be honest. You're going to get that unpredictableness. I don't even think he knows what he's doing sometimes with his passing, but I think he has that license as long as he can keep take care of the ball more under Brendan Rodgers than he did under Ange Postecoglou, then he'll be doing something right. Because it seems like if you read between the lines with what Brendan Rodgers is saying, he doesn't want him to be taking as many risks in and around especially in positions where Motherwell could potentially counter and go in the counter attack. Thankfully, that wasn't the case today, or it wasn't the case with regard to Hatate. But yeah, it's more minutes in the legs, more minutes for him to get back up to speed. You're just hoping he's prepping up for a big European night on Wednesday night.
Absolutely, mate. Yeah, fingers crossed, and that is a sort of stage that you would hope Hatate can thrive on against Lazio at home on Wednesday. And let's hope he can do that. The next point, also, you had touched on in the instant analysis was, with the exception of Luis Palma, who I know we'll come on to discuss before we finish up, was overall the wingers were quite wasteful. Palma did get that goal, but Maeda, Yang didn't offer that much during the game. Not that they played particularly bad, but you know they weren't. It's not like there was constant. It's not like there was constant. Chances, and they were a bit unlucky. There was times they dipped in and out of the game. Maeda did do some good defensive work, as he always does, but from an actual attacking perspective, him and Yang weren't that effective. Obviously, you kind of felt that way as well, given your comments and instant analysis. What do you think was maybe lacking from their game today?
I think there's a number of things. Unfortunately, Celtic have lost a bit of star power, both with the loss of Jota down to a transfer and Abada down to injury. You know, it's good that Abada will be back in the next few months and he can sort of reassume his place in the team. I'm not sure if he'll be a starter or coming off the bench to begin with, but that'll be a discussion for another day. We've got to deal with the players that Celtic have at their disposal at this point in time. Yang, it's not for a lack of trying. He did try. He tried so hard today to get into the game, but absolutely nothing was coming off for him whatsoever. The boy that was, I don't know exactly who was defending him on that side, but he was getting a good reward out of defending Yang. Yang was giving him absolutely plenty of positive stats, you would say, with regard to his defending, because I think midway through, I mean, there was a great dribble for him through the middle where he breaks and he maybe beats a couple of players through the middle, but apart from that, there wasn't really anything to his game. He was trying his hardest, but nothing came off for him. Dyson Maeda, you know you're always going to get that defensive work. That'll probably abstain him from some criticism from the Celtic support, you would say, or from some of his fans, or what would you call that? Maybe his lesser critics, but you do expect a bit more from him. And on an attacking sense, especially when you see what he did last week against Livingston. You know, he's got that in his locker. That might be down to the fact that he's playing in his preferred position, which is up front, or that's the position that Brendan Rodgers sees him as being his preferred spot in the team. You know you're going to get that defensive work. It's just all about getting that consistency on the attacking end as well. Celtic are missing star power, both with transfers and with injuries. But it's up to these guys to step up, and thankfully Luis Palma did that.
Absolutely, and we might as well just come on to him now, I suppose. Palmer coming off the bench, getting his first goal for Celtic. Was it a cross, Ryan?
Yeah, I think it was a cross. Brendan Rodgers was saying the same after the match as well. The first thing he said to the press was, "Oh, that was a great cross, wasn't it?" Sort of half joking, but I think it was a cross. If it was a cross, it was a really good cross because it got into a danger zone in the area, and it was almost too good because it then found its way in the back of the net. I've seen him score a couple of goals like that for Aris through the highlights as well. You know, he likes that sort of shot coming in and then a low shot, perfectly placed in the back of the net too, which makes you think, did he mean it or did he not? I think it was more of a cross than a shot. He'll say it's a shot now probably because it went in the back of the net. If that's the case, as long as he's got a goal to his name, then he'll be happy. You know, he's off the mark. He had a bit of a difficult game against Feyenoord, despite I thought he showed signs that there's going to be a good player there. Showed good signs against Dundee at home as well. But yeah, this should be the start for him to make a breakthrough. Brendan Rodgers was saying it's all about adjusting, and it's the same for a number of players. Marco Tilio was getting used to Scotland from Australia. He'll be getting used to Scotland from Greece, and then before then he would have been in Honduras. So it's all about that adaptation. But if you're adapting to surroundings and scoring what was the winner at that point, then you're doing a pretty good job. You're getting the numbers that Celtic signed you for, so no complaints whatsoever in that regard.
Yeah, it was. I think that was good for Palma, and that's a confidence booster, isn't it? Getting your first goal coming off the bench like that. I know it wasn't the winning goal, but it obviously contributed to what will be probably looked back on. Hopefully, is a memorable result coming into the season. So, fingers crossed he can sort of kick on from here. Whether or not he's going to be more of an impact player off the bench rather than somebody that starts games will remain to be seen. But no, I was really pleased for him getting his goal, and obviously talking of goals. You mentioned the Blair Spittle one. Celtic could have defended that a bit better. Brendan Rodgers said that in his post-match on Celtic TV. He was quite frustrated with how that goal came about. But yeah, these things can happen. You think probably the frustration was it happened right at the very end, and you thought, is that them chucking points away? But thankfully not. Matt O'Reilly sort of popped up with what Brendan Rodgers described as a Tom Roderick-esque finish at the end of the game. And it was Tom Roderick-esque, which is very high praise given how good a player he was for Celtic. Matt O'Reilly obviously putting pen to paper on that deal this morning. Well, it was announced this morning. And he scores a goal, and I think it was recorded as the 97th minute round. What a moment for O'Reilly, and what a moment for the fans behind the goal as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely, 95 minutes on the clock. Blair Spittle scores equaliser. You're like, Celtic are dropping points today. You didn't really see that. You didn't really see. I mean, maybe it's wrong to doubt whether or not Celtic get a winner, but it was so up in the air with regard to added time. We didn't know how long the game was going to get played. Was Celtic going to get more opportunities? Because it felt like Blair Spittle's goal was at the death, right at the death of the game.
It was basically the death line, to be fair, 96 minutes. So
was it because of injuries though as well? Was there injuries as well during added time, which contributed to that additional minutes?
Yeah.
It's one of those ones where I don't think either team will be complaining too much because there was added time for the equaliser, then there was added time for the winner too. It was just that sort of game. It was absolutely frantic last 10 minutes. But Matt O'Reilly doing what Matt O'Reilly has been doing all season, taking the game by the scruff of the neck, making a difference. Got to say though, all props goes to Greg Taylor, who has upped it substantially in the past 2 games. He's been a real consistent performer. I noticed today he was getting a bit deeper into the midfield again. It seems as if Rodgers is going to persevere with the inverted fullbacks. Just get the best out of your players, and Greg Taylor needs to be there. I think he needs to be in that midfield. He used to be a midfielder when he was younger. He's obviously good with the ball at his feet. He's good at making passes. Get the best out of your left backs, the ones that you've currently got in the team. And that seems to be what he's doing. But Matt O'Reilly, it was a very, very Rogic finish, ghosting in. It was like a mixture of Rogic and Abad, I would say, between the two. It was a tremendous finish. He was the calmest guy in Fir Park, that is for sure. And you can tell he enjoyed it when he put it in the back of the net. What a 24 hours, or what even a 6 hours it's been for Matt O'Reilly putting pen to paper on a new deal. I'm sure it would have been done yesterday or the day before, but it was announced today, announced this morning, and then go and score a goal in the 97th minute of that. Well, not normal time. It was 90 minutes, but 7 minutes of additional time. The seventh minute of additional time. I'll be honest with you, Aidan, I still feel like I'm trying to get my breath back after that game. It was 10 minutes of an absolute frenzy, turgidness for 80 minutes, and then 10 minutes of absolute bedlam. That, thankfully Celtic and their quality showed at the end of the day, and they get the 3 points.
Yeah, thankfully in the end, Ryan, I can imagine that on the screen in the stadium would have been you would have been left pretty breathless. It was one of those ones that the sort of instant analysis headline and a few of the points changed. Ones that you thought were maybe set in stone.
Yeah,
changed
the
after
backspace.
Palmer's goal, then Spittle's goal, and then O'Reilly's goal. So yeah, it was an entertaining end to the game, to say the least.
Yeah, the third point that I was doing had about 3 editorial changes in about 3 minutes. Honestly, that's what it felt like. I was going to write about Lewis Palmer scoring the winner, and then midway through I was writing that Blair Spittle scores equaliser. So I was like, yeah, it's great for Lewis Palmer. He scored the goal that was the winner at the time. Unfortunate that the team couldn't hold on. Then Matt O'Reilly gives me more words to talk about. You know, I'm not going to get angry and say that Matt O'Reilly gave me more work, because, you know, at the end of the day, it contributes to 3 points and a massive win away from home. You know, it's been a difficult run for Celtic. I think the fixtures have not been especially kind to Celtic over the past few weeks. Livingston away is a difficult place to go. Rangers away at Ibrox before then. And then Fir Park today. In terms of away fixtures, you know, you're never going to get easy games in the Scottish Premiership. But these are real statements. And I feel like all of these moments that are happening now, they're just solidifying this Brendan Rodgers Mark II. It's there seems to be a togetherness. I don't know if you got that through your stream, but it seems as if there's a togetherness between the fans and the manager and the players. They're buying into what's happening. The players are clearly buying in because they're on new deals. They're all happy. They're all smiling after the games. They're all glowing at post match as well. So yeah, it's a very happy camp, or so it looks from the outside looking in. But yeah, sorry, I clicked off there for a second. Did it continue to speak there, or?
I know, mate, you're fine.
But yeah, but it was a very, very happy camp all in. You can tell from the outside looking in. I'm sure it is from the in looking out, and vice versa. But yeah, very, very. It seems like it's a pretty good place to be at the moment.
Yeah, and by the looks of this live chat, it seems to be that Celtic are going to be 7 points clear tonight, which is a real positive. So yeah, it was a very good result overall, Ryan. Performance was actually okay. The more I'm looking back on it, and I think some of maybe the points I made in instant analysis were a wee bit harsh, but you know what it's like. It's in the name. It is like
it's instant.
So, and yeah, that was all. I think we could be forgiven for that. Maybe going live on the website a wee bit later than usual today, given the dramatic events at the end. But overall, job done, Ryan. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there for today, guys. Let Ryan get up the road, because I know he's got more stuff to be getting on with as the eye. So, Ryan, thanks very much for joining us, mate. Always a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your night, guys.
And just before we go, guys, I should say subscribe to the website, support top quality journalism, covering the club you all love. The current offer we're doing is £4 for 4 months. To do so, the link's in the description as well as the ticker tape down below if you're watching on demand. It's www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. Until then, guys, have a good weekend. Cheers.